I'm really excited to be in Medellin. It's well known for all the wrong reasons through the 80s and 90s because of the drug wars, peaking with the world's highest murder rate. Now Medellin is known for the transformation of the city, the things that have been happening not least since the early 2000s. I want to find out who's behind this, I want to meet them, and I want to hear if what I've heard about Medellin is real.
This is Medellin. For decades, it was, without a doubt, the most dangerous city on Earth. It was home to the world's most violent drug cartel, led by the infamous Pablo Escobar. Escobar was at war with other gangs, with the state, with the elite, with foreign governments. This guy was basically at war with everyone. In 1991, at the peak of the Escobar years, Medellin achieved the dubious title of murder capital of the world. Car bombings and open-air shootings were part of everyday life here. Corruption was rife. Escobar was even elected to Congress. He was killed in 1993. And with the strong will of the Paisas, those who were born and bred in Medellin and who stayed here no matter how hard things got, the place started to change. With bold and innovative projects, they've installed cable cars up mountainsides and built outdoor escalators. Medellin went from a no-go zone to an urban inspiration for cities all over the world. And I'm here to find out how. Oddly enough, my first stop is a bland shopping mall in a rich neighborhood. But Laura wanted to meet here because this was her Medellin when she was young.
This would be one of my favorite places when I was a teenager. So we would go to the cinema, we would go to, just come around and hang out here because this was the place where our parents would allow us to come a Friday night, a Saturday afternoon.
So clearly, shopping malls looked exactly the same everywhere in the world. But here in Medellin, at the peak of the troubled times, they played a different role. They were quite simply the safe haven for families trying to live a normal life and hoping to separate themselves from the violence. You could find almost anything in there. Shops and restaurants, of course, but also movie theaters, amusement parks, gyms, casinos, clinics, even a vet. If you were wealthy enough, you could fulfill almost all of your needs without ever having to set foot on the dangerous and often deserted streets of the city. Did you feel secure here as a teenager?
When you grow up like that, you don't really recognize things, because you're used to them. The time when I really got perspective and could understand that better was when I moved to Hamburg. I lived in Germany when I was 15. And when I came there, I understood security were not the dogs and the bodyguards and the security glasses in the cars and all of those things that we thought security were about. But it was more like being a 15-year-old girl on a street, 2 a.m. in the morning, and having nothing to fear.
I heard about a car bomb in a shopping center.
Yeah, it was January 2001.
Was it here?
Yeah.
In this shopping mall?
Yeah, it was below the cinemas. It was in the garage, in the parking lot.
Yes, even here, between the massive concrete walls of what had become one of the few sanctuaries in Medellin, violence found its way in. So we're on the top level of the parking. The shopping mall's right above us. So how do you feel standing here where a bomb went off? Do you think about that? Like when you park your car in here?
There's a lot of places in Medellin where a bomb exploded.
Okay, so all right. Never mind. Laura brings me downtown, where she never would have gone as a kid. Although she now feels safe in the neighborhood, she still retains an element of caution. So, Laura, I noticed one thing. At the shopping mall, you had some really nice kind of high heel shoes on, but you've changed your shoes. What's up with that?
Yeah, sure. Well, it's a good pair of shoes to run in case you need to run.
Okay, good to know. Glad I didn't wear my flip-flops today.
This is a city with a lot of problems and with a lot of young people looking for opportunities, and if they don't find opportunities, well, just grabbing what they can.
There's a great mix of people. It's like everybody kind of interacts quite easily here on the street.
This wasn't like this 10 or 15 years ago.
What did it look like?
You wouldn't like to cross this neighborhood, not even with a car.
Okay.
You know, if I would go
Really?
with a car and there was a red light here, I wouldn't respect that red light.
That's hard to imagine now when you see all these street vendors and you
Yeah.
see, you know,
And
just
the
people on
yard,
bikes.
you know?
And
Yeah.
yeah, totally.
Yeah.
This is Los Deseos Park. Once an epicenter of violence, its complete renovation in 2003 sparked renewal in the entire northern part of Medellin.
This was the first park, and this really became like a very important reunion spot. Yeah, this is really beautiful. You know, it's such a simple thing that makes people so happy.
The simple pleasures of urban life. This kind of place, creating more of this urban space, more democratic space, is that somewhere that Medellin needs to go?
Yeah, sure, because crime is due to lack of opportunities, and this is giving opportunities. I wish when I was little I would have had this opportunity of playing, but you saw where I grew up. I grew up in a commercial center. You cannot compare this kind of fun with the commercial center. This is healthy, you know?
Yeah.
This is going to make a healthy society.
Hector didn't grow up in a shopping mall. Nope. He was dodging bullets in Kumuno Ocho, considered by most, up until very recently, as a complete war zone. Though they come from totally different worlds, Laura and Hector's friendship is living proof that this city is changing. Hector takes me to his barrio. I wanted to see how people have taken matters into their own hands in one of the roughest and toughest parts of town. Still controlled by gangs, Kumuno Ocho isn't the type of place you just wander into hoping to discover the quirks of local life.
Hector?
Hector! Mario! Do you see him, guys?
No,
I think
I
he's
don't
gone.
see him.
Is he gone?
I don't see him. Oh, he's gone. Yeah, he's gone. Yeah, this way.
They should go for it.
Okay, this is the church. This is his house. Okay, this is his... Okay, yeah, this is where he lives.
Okay,
Yeah,
vale.
he's there. Okay, good. I don't know if they're very happy with us here. Okay, no, they're happy. I think we're good to go out.
Let's get one thing straight. Hector is a respected member of this community. People trust him. But for us to film here, he had to get permission from the local gang, because nothing happens here without their blessing.
High five. When you come here and
Yes.
you see that view maybe behind us or this view here, this
I
is
see
home.
my childhood.
This is mi barrio.
Yes, running from the shootings, from the bombs, call it petardos.
Yeah?
But you can see now, there's a cool atmosphere.
Yeah. So when was the last time that you were here, Laura?
I think it was around 8 years ago.
And why haven't you been back?
Well, the last time that I visited him, I experienced a shooting, and I got really, really very scared. Now I'm here, and I'm glad that I'm here.
Good, that's good.
This is not a paradise.
No.
Far from that.
Yeah.
But I think the people is changing the way to face the life, the things that they want. They are making a new city that overcome the suffering.
But you choose to live here.
Okay, because I try to make something to change a little that things that I don't like to see in my neighborhood.
Okay. You know, it could be like a barrio, a slum, or a favela, but, you know,
Yeah, the view.
the view. It's the $1 million view. This is what cities should be like. Somebody built a house, somebody built a house, oh, another house, oh, now we need a road, and so there is no structure. It's like the cities, how cities were built, like in Europe, like, you know, 1,000 years ago, you know, and now here it is more recent, so it's still the same urban beauty. I love it.
It's like a labyrinth, but a beautiful one.
Oh, wow. That's a life-size street right there. Organic, by the people, for the people.
This was a garbage
senor.
dump before,
Yeah.
and they're planning to build a garden.
Okay, a playground and a garden.
Yes.
My name is Carlos. Estoy bien.
This is like a new house coming, I guess, or
Yes,
what?
this is a
This
plancha.
is a plancha.
A plancha, what's that?
It's like the first migrant family comes and builds its house, and they will inherit the heir to
The
the
heir.
kids. And if you have kids, they inherit the heir too.
Okay.
So they would come to the third floor.
This
That's,
is the same
that's
thing.
the future
So
of
somebody,
this plancha.
yeah, it's gonna look like that.
And goes on and on.
So if you have a really big family, you're gonna have like a Empire State Building.
More like a Pisa Tower.
Pizza Tower, yeah, of course. Oh my God. Yeah.
I can show you the tramway from here. That's a frontier because that's Comuna 9 and this is Comuna 8, and it's two different worlds.
Okay.
Because they're more middle class,
Yeah.
whereas this is really like low classes.
Yeah. So the people in this neighborhood, they go to work in the city?
Some people work in their homes. We have some tradition of doing shoes in the neighborhood. Some people never come out the barrio, never.
Wow. What is the dark side of the urban story here?
When I was about 15, there was a war between the gangs in these sectors. There was sometimes 2 or 3 shootings in one day. Friends or cousins, almost all the friends are dead. Even my mother fell in this war. They killed her. One morning in our home, in front of the eyes of our grandmother, and that's hard.
Yeah.
I think I don't want to live this for the rest of my life. I want to die now or change the thing. That's a powerful reason to do what I'm doing. I don't want to see that hate and fear and smell of blood all the time. The neighborhood smells like blood and gunpowder all the time, and I feel great to know that I'm about to forget what it feels.
We've been all over the barrio with Hector, and now we're gonna go see the magic that he does for his community, trying to rebuild, reshape, and just make this into a better place to live. The story of Laura, the privileged kid. 10 years ago, she met Hector. Dance brought them together, and Laura fought for years to get him a space. The guy is a 2-time national breakdance champion, and now he has a permanent space in which to teach the youth, the young kids of this community, giving them another option, not just the default that has been the case here for so many years, crime.
In order to really understand how such an impressive transformation was possible in Kumuno Ocho, and pretty much the entire city, I meet with Sergio Fajardo, one of the key figures in Medellin's Renaissance.
Buenos días. ¿Cómo estás? ¿Cómo estás? Bien, gracias.
Sergio is a veritable pop star in Medellin, but he doesn't sing and he doesn't dance. This former mathematician is a celebrity because of his legacy in turning the city around. After embarking on an epic 4-year urban pilgrimage, walking the streets, pounding the pavement of his hometown, telling people how he and his non-politician friends wanted to fix Medellin, you know what? He got himself elected mayor. Now, of course, Medellin's astonishing urban transformation was not a one-man show. But Sergio provided the leadership and the impulse for change, allowing citizens to dream again and to reclaim their streets.
I myself, with other people, I've been through all these places. Yeah. I knew how it smelled, how people look like, what happened in there. We knew every square meter in Medellin. We came into power in a city that has been, for decades, suffering about violence. We saw destruction in many senses, but this city did like that, but never collapsed. And we came and we said, we can do things differently. And when we came into power, I always explain this, the way you get into power, that will determine how you will govern. If you pay in order to get into power, then you come to steal. We didn't have to pay anyone. We didn't owe anything to anyone but to the citizens of Medellin. And we began this transformation.
This was a crucial sector for Medellin's renewal. The area was so dangerous that no one would dare to cross it. It was as if a wall divided the city in two,
The north, poor and forgotten, and the south, where life was a bit easier. But Sergio and his team weren't in for half measures. They tore down the wall. They connected the city with bold urban projects. Multiple parks, a botanical garden, a musical center, and libraries. They created places where people from all walks of life continue to meet.
When you are under poverty or you have extreme conditions, usually they come up with a solution that say, well, whatever you give them, it's something because they have nothing. I said, no, we are going to have the most beautiful things for the humblest people. That's dignity, that's recognition, that's respect. And that touches directly your heart. The people say, my worth is as valuable as anyone's. The buildings can be done. Now, the most beautiful buildings for the humblest people is a political decision. The public space fighting fear, it's a political decision. It's a way of understanding that we have to connect. This is not an architectural project. This is a mean that expresses the changes of our society. And that's why we talk about social urbanism. So you come to a part of the town and you put simultaneously all the development tools simultaneously. That's very difficult. So in a place, people would start seeing things happening. So that immediately changes people, and we change the culture. We change the spirit of Medellin.
As the politician who laid the foundation for the transformation of the city, and as a citizen of Medellin, are you optimistic about the future, that all this hard work will continue?
I am. And new generations are coming to live in here, so something that was a place for fear, no hope, has been transformed.
We're gonna meet a really cool guy with a little urban intervention. Hey, nice to meet you. Nice to meet you, pleasure. What Felipe and his crew are doing is quite simple, but it's also very necessary. They're asking the people of Medellin what they want for their city. What would make the city center more livable? They want the local authorities to make decisions based on the everyday needs of the citizens themselves.
We are going to invite the people to tell us what would they enjoy here and what would they do for the downtown.
Whoa. Aki, what is he deciding?
Thomas has decided having a space for playing soccer here.
Why is a bicycle route important in this neighborhood?
I think it's fundamental because we have to bring back the center and the streets to the people.
What we want was connect on habitants' visions with the government visions. It's a free theater.
Free theater, oh, Teatro Libre.
The people believe, the people dream.
Library, a quiet pedestrian area, more restaurants, less contamination, social events, a lot of outdoor activity.
I think this is possible.
I'm gonna have a very simple idea. I'll leave the amazing visions to the locals here, but I'll just remind you to put in, for example, bike racks. As you can see, the work to make Medellin a life-size city continues on absolutely every scale imaginable.
High above Medellin, we can really see a color palette that is very apparent from the air. The low-income neighborhoods, they don't have a lot of money for paint, so their houses are brick with red tile roofs and often with just metal roofs. And then you can see the richer neighborhoods that have white and gray buildings because they could afford to paint them nicely. So you can really see the class divide in the color palette of the city in this valley.
What we need to understand is that Medellin sits in a valley. Those who can afford it live in the south. And usually, the less money you have, the higher up the mountains you're gonna end up. The thing is, most of the jobs in Medellin are way down there. And getting to work, for those who live up here, is a challenge, to say the least. We are talking hours on foot, or with the help of a shaky bus system, just to get to the valley floor. But with the construction of the cable car system, it now takes a mere 20 minutes to get to the city or back home. Cable cars as public transit? That is what I call audacity. I want to experience firsthand this bold transport system. And in order to get to the cable cars, I have to take the metro. It's still the only one of its kind in Colombia, for now.
I think the metro started exactly at the beginning of our transformation. It was not just a transport system, but an integration system.
Santiago knows all about the fierce will to end inequality. He has traveled between Medellin and Johannesburg in South Africa for nearly half his life, developing a unique take on the urban challenges that our cities face. He is now Medellin's first chief resilience officer. Together, we head for the hilltop neighborhood of Santo Domingo, located in Kumuno Ocho.
We are so proud of our metro system because we know that this is the true essence of how we've been able to move forward and to become a modern city and to be a more inclusive city. So it will come from everyone. If you try to damage or jeopardize the system, people will fight for it.
Yeah, they have ownership.
They have ownership.
That's amazing.
One of the most interesting values of resilience is the value of learning. Every time you have an adversity and you overcome and you have time to reflect on that, is a learning process. That's why Medellin is such an important example for ourselves, but for the world, because we've been able to overcome major tragedies. Yeah. Many times we don't acknowledge that we are the city. Cities are not roads or buildings or metro systems. Cities are people. The reason why they build is because we have a collective idea. And around that collective idea, we construct relationships.
You guys have been adapting freely from other cities. Do you find that to be a strength for Medellin, that you happily borrow and steal and whatever you can, grab all the good ideas?
Clearly, and this is a great example of that. One of our leaders went into a winter holidays to Switzerland, and he was going to ski, and he saw one of the cable cars there, and he said, what if we implement a solution like this for our city? And we're now writing it. Those ideas are being taken here, modified, and implemented, and that's how we tackle all our issues.
Is it a problem that really the traffic is from up to down and then back up again? The citizens who live down there, they're not going up very often. If we talk about resilience, if we talk about social inclusion, you still have one-way streets, as it were. How do you fix that?
People don't come here to have fun, or to not even to have fun, to have friends. And that clearly shows you how we still separate from each other.
I mean, this is absolutely, it's a holiday in Colombia, and everybody's just using the cable cars. It's a queue to get back down.
But you should come at 4 o'clock in the morning because they're going to work. And the only way to go to downtown and to the industrial side of the city is through the Metro Cable. And you will see, it's a 10 times a bigger queue because the jobs are not around here.
Everything you're telling me about resilience, about transport, about how to create a better Medellin is all about people. You keep going back to people.
Take away the queue.
Yeah.
And this won't mean anything.
Yeah.
The technical connection has been made, and they can go and we can come here, but we still to identify that human connection.
Public transport is cool, and it works really well for Medellin. But as Santiago points out, people need a reason to go to another neighborhood. So we're in the Comuna 13 neighborhood, and we're going to meet a man who uses urban art as a form of expression, but also as an important tool for social inclusion. Hola.
Bienvenidos, parcero.
So people come on tours to see all the different wall murals that Jacob and his crew have done.
So, mucha gente viene, la gente viene a ver los grafitis que ustedes han hecho.
Y mucha gente viene todos los días a ver los grafitis, a conocer las historias. El Grafitur es un recorrido histórico, estético y político por la Comuna 13. Y a través del grafiti contamos las historias, algunas difíciles que hemos vivido y otras cargadas de esperanza que también. Este graffiti se llama Mariscal. El 21 de mayo del 2002, la fuerza pública se unió con los paramilitares para tratar de sacar a la guerrilla de la comuna. Una de esas historias es que un niño quedó herido fuera de una casa y no se podía acercar la gente porque el ejército seguía disparando. Y lo que hizo una señora fue salir con un trapo blanco, acercarse al niño. Luego mucha gente más salió con trapos blancos a la calle. Entonces por eso todos los animales tienen un trapo blanco. Entonces por eso es importante este graffiti de Mariscal, porque simboliza que la no violencia también hace parte activa para lograr la paz, para lograr que no nos matemos.
It's the escalators.
Bienvenido a las escaleras eléctricas.
This is one of the talking points all around the world about the urban transformation in Medellin, the escalators that have been put in to get the people from the low-income neighborhoods down to the city to connect with public transport and everything the city has to offer. I'm excited.
De visitar también es que hay muchos mitos aún y muchos estigmas. El asunto de que estos barrios son peligrosos, que mucha gente pues no venga o no quiera venir porque simplemente le da miedo. Que existan las escaleras, que existan los techos, los grafitis, que exista esa combinación de transformación que ha sucedido acá entre arte y urbanismo, hace que mucha gente quiera venir.
Is it important to tell the story of the violence and the transformation, or should we forget the violence?
La violencia aún es el presente. Sí, este fin de semana, en 24 horas, hubieron 5 muertos en Medellín. No es Pablo Escobar explotando bombas, pero sigue pasando la violencia en esta ciudad. Esta ciudad está llena de grupos armados en los barrios que tienen control territorial. Eso no es un pasado, es un presente.
Jacob, when you look out at this view, what do you see?
Para mí es la inspiración para contar, para escribir mis raps, y sé que debajo de cada uno de esos techos hay muchos sueños. Lo que veo acá sobre todo es esperanza, y esperanza que se transforma en luchas para hacer mejor cada vez su familia, su barrio, su ciudad. Así.
Hey.
Bienvenido, parcero.
Every person who comes here, the ritual is to give a sign, to say you are part of the comuna. And for them it's an honor that people comes here and be part of the comuna by signing the canvas.
Listen to that, a tramway in the heart of Medellin. This road is called Ayakucho. It was the main road from the east leading into the city center just 1 or 2 years ago, completely packed with cars in the rush hour. But right now it's the quietest place that I've seen so far this morning in Medellin. A modern tramway taking 45,000 people a day into the city center, connecting with a cable car, connecting with the metro farther down there, really a sign that Medellin is doing what they can to take public transport to the next level. And we're in the middle of the tramway. Come on. Just a couple of weeks ago, this was a dead urban space, just a bunch of asphalt left over from decades of car-centric planning. Nobody really knew what to do with it. But we're seeing all over the world people taking matters into their own hands. A little bit of what we call tactical urbanism, taking this spot and making it just a little bit greener. It might be banal, but you know what? It actually makes an impact on improving this urban space. And today, I get dirt under my fingernails. Hey.
Listo.
How you doing?
We need to move this first, so I need you to give me
this
a
one?
hand.
Yeah. All right.
And we're gonna have to paint them.
What are you gonna use these for?
Well, this is sort of the park for people to hang out.
It's benches, basically.
Yeah,
We're creating benches.
We want them to be able to sit down here. And in a while, when this grows, we'll actually have shadow.
Yeah.
We'll actually have a place for people to hang out. And we need to make
want to hang out, right?
Yeah.
You want to make it attractive.
That's exactly the point.
This is Carlos. He is a teacher and he is a brilliant thinker, but he's also a doer when it comes to urban renewal.
Before the tramway was here, there was really just a car-clogged avenue. It was terrible. It was one of the worst places in the city, just filled with cars, noise, pollution, buses and motorcycles like crazy. When we were able to accomplish the tram, now we got cars out of the way, but it's again really just very hot, very unfriendly. There are no trees, and there are people who live here. When we do it, we want to make sure that the government sees and admires the fact that we are doing it. We are doing it because we want to do it. We do it with our own people, with our own money, with our own energy. And when we do it, symbolically, not illegally, symbolically, positively, creatively, then it's always the same story. They come after us and say, listen, good job. How can we help? You can clearly tell that the people that walk around here love it. And they become owners of this place. A couple of minutes ago, you saw some guys that were watering it. We don't pay them. We don't know who they are. They do it because they have an intention to make sure that this continues. You have your own bamboo in Colombia now.
There's a guy sitting on the bench there. He's just having his breakfast. You know, all you need to do is just put pallets down on an empty urban space, create some form of structure and an attractive place to be, and a guy's eating his breakfast. Like, you know, we just got here. This is the not-so-legal El Reguero flea market. Located just under the elevated train tracks, it is far from the clean and slick image that Medellin is working hard to promote. Here, citizens occupy public space in their own way, selling anything and everything that they can scavenge from the city's trash.
There is a high rate of unemployment and people have to find a way to make a living. So I'm going to show you how some people make a living out of selling what they pick for the garbage. You can find almost anything. For example, here, take a look at this.
Wheels?
I don't know, wheels, flashlight, a remote control, I don't know. Look at this one. This is one I'm going to buy right now. This is the kind of things I find here that I love. At home, I have my own museum from things I buy here.
So you are, in a way, the museum for this place, because this place might not be around for a long time.
Yeah, it's like the kind of places people don't like to see in the city. Because, first of all, they don't pay taxes. Secondly, it's not like the cleanest place on city. It's full of people. When I come here, I feel alive. Here's my friend Archimedes.
Archimedes. Buenos días, señor.
And this is his stuff. Around 3 in the morning, he goes out with a car and he picks all the stuff from garbage. He decides what to sell and he brings all his stuff here.
Para mí es un arte. Más que un trabajo, es un arte, el cual amo mucho. Yo le agradezco, tengo que agradecerle mucho a la basura. Esto no es tan lucrativo como la gente piensa. Si tenés suerte, te puedes conseguir al día 50, 60 mil pesos. O bajar con 2 o 3 mil. Es cuestión de suerte.
They know they are not legally here. So they take care of each other and they take care of the customers and the people that come here so people can feel safe of coming to shop here.
Okay. Tell them I have a daughter who's 8 years old and I want to buy these sunglasses. I'll get them.
He's the one that receives the money.
All right. Gracias, señor. Gracias.
A lot of people say that downtown Medellin is very dangerous.
We were told to be careful here. We were told everybody watch your phones, watch your wallets, but when you're telling me that it's a community, I feel, I'm with you, of course, but I feel safe. I don't feel like I should watch out here.
This place is, for me, one of the most beautiful places in Medellin because you see, this whole idea of Medellin is mostly building buildings and making the city look good for tourists and investors. But most people that live here, they live a different reality. You can find more than 1,000 people working here.
Yeah, and they have to go somewhere else if you kick them out, right?
Yeah.
Buenas.
¿Qué hombre? ¿Qué más?
How much?
20,000.
So I got a vintage poster from a bicycle exhibition in Bogota, 1984. I just paid about 20,000 Colombian pesos, about 10, 12 American dollars.
I know the urban projects are necessary, and a lot of good things have been made in Medellin, but you have to maintain the balance, you have to keep the balance. We don't want a very beautiful city, very clean. Cities are dirty. I don't want all the makeup that they usually try to give to a city like this. What do they think? We are not in Switzerland. We're in Colombia, and we are proud of being Latins, you know? I'm always going to be on the side of people.
Medellin's transit system is efficient, but it has yet to connect all of its citizens. Sprawling in the north of the city, Granisol is a secluded settlement mainly populated by migrants. Settling the mountainsides of Medellin is a last resort for some of the 6.4 million internally displaced people in Colombia. Because on top of all the challenge that Medellin faces, Colombia is still dealing with the aftermath of a complex civil war that lasted for more than 50 years. After almost an hour on dirt roads with potholes the size of craters, I arrive in Granisol. I came here with Camilo. He's a telecom engineer with a conscience, and he has a passionate project that is actively helping this community. What I've understood is that you have a light in your bag.
Yeah, Alonso is going to help us. He was helping us to build all these lights. He was the leader of this project.
All right.
We have the solar panel. So the solar panel receives the sun. The battery saves the energy. This controller says to the battery, 6 o'clock, boom.
Up here, municipal services simply don't exist. Roads are unpaved, running water is a patchwork of homemade pipes, and until 2 years ago, there were no street lights. That may sound trivial, but the dark streets led to serious problems: accidents, theft, and sexual assault. Pazaluz, the social enterprise Camilo founded, proposed a life-size solution to the community. Teach them to build and install solar-powered lampposts. As simple as that. We are really quite isolated up here.
Yeah,
Even up here, there are it's gang controlled.
Yeah, they don't have like a public service company, so the gang is like the public service company. So you need to understand that the people in the gangs are people living here, are people part of the community.
Yeah.
So it's really complex.
Yeah.
It's not just like saying, hey, there are the bad guys and these are the good guys. It's just a mix of everything. The most important thing is that those lamps are built by the local community. We need to empower people because that people is really who can guarantee all the solution in the long term. The local community has to own the project. The black with the black and the red with the red. Yeah, that one with this.
Which one?
Oh, no, you connected.
Oh, that was great news. Yeah. Cut. This is it. This is a tactical urbanism. Glue on the fingers, out on a road on the upper edge of Medellin, putting up a simple light for $100 and creating a safe environment. This is, you don't get much more simple than this. Simple solution to a lot of big problems. It's brilliant to be a part of this. And now we're going to test it.
But it's not going, I think that it's not going to light immediately. Oh, yeah.
Right there.
So this is Pazaluz.
Pazaluz, peace and light, man. This is the example of what it looks like when our hard work is done and we get the post up and everything.
Yeah. The white lights are these lights over there.
Peace and light. Yeah.
Yeah, peace and light. There are 4 of them.
Yeah.
You can see them.
Yeah. I can't imagine these stairs in the dark without the lights here. And you can see just this amazing view of Medellin and all the sort of the cheap yellow lights, and here we're up on the upper edges of the city, and we have the modern LED solar-powered lights. I love that contrast. It's fantastic.
Yeah, and when we started this project, we realized that you see Medellin because they have light. The Medellin citizens don't see granisol because they don't have light. They don't have that recognition in the night. So light is synonym of dignity, of visibility. So what we're trying to say is that light is that. It means all of this.
From invisible and forgotten to visible and dignified with peace and light. For all the talk of the amazing urban transformation in this city, this is still the elephant in the room that nobody is talking about. None of the transportation facilities that the city has put into place, except for one tram line, are doing anything about taking cars off the roads and discouraging driving. From a transportation perspective, this is the greatest challenge that this city faces, and they are far behind. Unsurprisingly, Medellin's car culture still reigns supreme. But things are changing, slowly. Encicla, a completely free bike share program, was created in 2011. It was the first of its kind in Latin America and is still, for now, the only bike share system in Colombia. Beyond Encicla, there's some good news. More and more people are daring enough to bike this complex city, even though it can be a mind-boggling wayfinding challenge. So you've experienced the world's best bicycle cities. You've ridden on best practice infrastructure. And now you live in Medellin. Why do you ride a bicycle here?
I know I'm a bit crazy doing it, but I think it's a responsibility as a citizen to really start a movement or to really empower others to try it. As any city, you just have to start and then you'll see what happens. So I've been here for 2 years cycling every day, up and down, and it has worked. It's a bit risky as there's no infrastructure other than the one we're cycling.
So I think it's a bike lane, right? But I think it's a little bit of shared space in maybe the worst possible sense. Parking. Tell me about the group that you started.
It's called Mujeres en Bici Enamoran, which basically is women on bicycles make you want to fall in love. We're very aware of our culture, so we need to be sexy, beautiful, charming.
You gotta chuck love in there as well, right? Amore.
Yeah. The first thing we did was a hashtag on Twitter and Instagram, Mujeres en Bici Enamoran, and we started just using pictures of women, and suddenly the count started to grow on followers at an amazing speed. Everyone was retweeting and commenting. News, we've been on TV, on radio stations, on the newspapers. Just people couldn't believe that we're not activists, we don't fight, we're just cycling as a public transport. We believe on getting the people on the bike and then the infrastructure will come. So it goes here, then the right, then you go in and then straight ahead.
This is the craziest bicycle infrastructure I think I've ever seen. It's an expensive cycle track. They've invested a lot of money in the quality. It just simply doesn't make any sense. This infrastructure is a classic example of trying to squeeze bicycles into a car-centric matrix instead of taking them seriously as transport. Choosing substandard design solutions like crossing a two-way street is unsafe, incoherent, and counterintuitive.
Seriously.
I don't know what you guys are doing now because you got like some kind of weird ramp. Good luck. How's that? This is rock and roll. No, you didn't make it up the ramp, dude. All over the world, cities are working towards becoming more life-sized, in their own ways. But in so many cases, they're using Band-Aid solutions, fixing small problems here and there because they don't dare to mess with the big picture. Here in Medellin, however, I've realized that there are no Band-Aids. There is only open-heart surgery. The River Park is the city's newest plan, and it is massive. It involves burying the unsightly and polluting highway that cuts the city in half and prevents decent access to the river. You heard that right. They're going to bury 19 kilometers of highway.
The river, the historical spine, the lifeblood of this city, you're telling me it's here, but I can't even see the river. Where is it?
Yeah,
Where is the river?
The river is behind this.
Between this traffic going this way and the traffic going that way, somewhere down there, there's a beautiful river.
We don't have a river, we have highways. What we have is the idea that through this kind of intervention, with these kinds of projects, parks, public spaces, the citizens will recover the city for themselves. The strategy is that we have to combine the functional things with the use of the river for the citizens, but also with the integration of the city, because we have some problems of ghettos in some zones because they are unconnected. So the urban integration of both margins of the city will become a power, a new energy for the city life. So for the future, what we dream to have, it's a city connected, integrated along the river, which is very different to what has happened in the past, because the city has been divided by the river. So it's a social transformation, urban transformation, a functional transformation. It is actually a new city along the river.
It's not just getting rid of an unsightly and polluting motorway, burying it underground, and making a nice park. You're talking about economic development. You're talking about a business model for this huge investment.
The idea is to create value, investments, attract economical growth inside the city through urbanization. What Medellin has done along the last 3 decades is building public life, is reintegrating our society that was fragmented and conflicted. So we believe that public space is the best tool for the creation of the city of the future.
So it looks like we finally have the permission, something we're experiencing everywhere in Medellin. We finally have permission to actually enter the project.
There's the water, finally.
There it is.
Yeah.
Okay, wow. This could be
Full
like
of
Paris,
people.
the city of bridges, just a lot of bicycle and pedestrian bridges across the river providing access.
Yeah.
And tramways and whatnot,
Yes.
yeah. I sense a real strong civic pride in Medellin among the people. Was that there before, or did that come with the transformation?
I think it has become more powerful after the transformation process, because the citizens has been conscious about their role. From my point of view, before we have a lot of dwellers, and now we have a lot of citizens, which is different. It could be the same amount of people, but not the same condition, because a citizen is responsible, has rights, but has responsibilities. A dweller only has rights.
So somebody who just lives in the city and a citizen, that's the distinction that you're making, and you are maybe creating more citizens out of the people who live here.
Yeah, and that explains why, even though we have strong changes between the major political ideas or parties, the process continues, because the process doesn't depend only about the politicians or the leaders. It depends on the citizens. And I think the most powerful thing that Medellin can share with the world is that you can have illusions. Is that you can be sure that if you do the right work, the city will be better. So every city of the world can see through the Medellin's leadership that everything is possible. Even the worst critical moment, even the worst situation can be solved through the power of citizens.
Is this a life-size city?
I think we will become someday a life-size city, but we're working on that.
In making this series, the ideal was always that if a neighborhood or a street really felt life-sized, a place that really touched me in my heart, it could become an extension of the urban map that I started designing a few years ago. So, here we go. This is Kumuno Ocho. You can see I have some Paris, Montreal, and then I want to put it up here. So it looks like the city is connected. So you can ride your bike from Paris to Medellin.
Perfect.
It's nuts.
Espérame un momentico, te saco el stencil y comenzamos. ¿Me entiendes?
Hola.
¿Cómo estás? Muy bien, ¿y tú?
It's really important that we understand each other when you're doing this. Is it the green finished?
Yeah.
And now after the green?
C8.
C8, Kumuno Ocho. Medellin under my skin. Most cities in the world can be summed up with a couple of well-placed metaphors, but not Medellin. For this city, you need the entire dictionary. Fragmented, dynamic, inclusive, divided, insistent, stubborn, proud, innovative, people-friendly. I think every city in the world has been all those things at some point in their history. But there's nowhere else in the world that is all those things like Medellin is right now.